morning and welcome to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television Ibadan. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun.
And I'm Anulu Akboido. Thank you for joining us this Friday morning.
Political tension is mounting in Osun State ahead of the governorship election following former Governor Boyega Oyetola's remark to Governor Ademola Adeleke. You cry on Saturday.
Anyway, the comment has sparked fresh debate over campaign rhetoric, political rivalry, and the need for peaceful elections in the country. So that exactly is our Daybreak gist this morning.
Coming up next are today's newspaper headlines with Sam Woko, Deputy Editor of the Nigerian Tribune, as we examine the stories making headlines across politics, governance, security, and the economy.
So before we leave you today, we'll recap today's major stories and conversations shaping public discourse.
Welcome to Daybreak Live this morning.
Good morning to you, viewers, and good morning to you.
Good morning, Anu.
Yes, the topic on the table this morning is very funny, although it doesn't sound funny because it's more about cries. You cry on Saturday, or you don't allow to Governor Adeleke. And the first question that came to mind is it Saturday or on this Sunday? And again, another question back on them, and the question was, there are different kinds of cries. People can cry for joy, People can cry for loss as well. But whichever way, I think we understand what Oyetola is trying to say to Adeleke. But again, I wanted to even ask a few questions, really, especially as to the elections in Osun. But just before that, let me just walk us through a brief of that. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Boyega Oyetola, boasted that Governor Ademola Adeleke and his supporters will cry after the Osun State election, on Saturday. Oyetola, who is also a member of the APC and the former governor of Osun State, lost his bid for a second term to Adeleke in 2022. Maybe that's like the how it eventually became a thing. Now, speaking during the APC mega rally in Osogbo, the state capital, Oyetola urged Osun people to vote for the APC candidate Bola Oyepamiji on Saturday. So that's exactly why he said what he said, that yes, there's a chance for you to cry in the forthcoming elections. But, different sides will take it. Some will take it lightly, others will take it because we've seen the issues around Osun, we've seen the violence, we've seen the killings, we've seen the statement, inflammatory statements and remarks made by some people. And a lot of people are still questioning and calling for the right for the law to take its full course, especially on those people who made pronouncement that they were not supposed to make. A statement that could incite, that could, instigate crime and violence and all of that. And so a lot of persons are saying, so why is everybody watching when these people are not supposed to even be roaming the street or being around the elections? But that on the other hand of things. But you cry on Saturday sounds to me like we are so sure there's no chance for you. So maybe we might need to ask him, how sure are you? Because it's sounding so confident about it. There's no, politics is especially if it's played fair and, without any chances of malpractice and all of that, it's supposed to be a 50-50% chance. But you might say you have more, maybe like upper hand, but sometimes it's not as true or as clear as that. Meanwhile, because the Accord Party, or perhaps Adeleke, is the incumbent in the state, so there's a chance also for him. So to now say you would lose, like it's so clear, it's so glaring, it's so sure that you're going to lose in this election, maybe some people will ask, why are you so sure of this? Do you have other motives, ulterior motives that is not put out? Do you have other means to make sure that you win this election? Why a lot of persons are still questioning the APC, that they are trying to do everything at all costs to become to get into power in Osun State again, and different people with different opinions. But what he said, I feel like he's too confident for anybody who is not God. Except you are God, except you know what is going to become of somebody or what's going to become of the election after now, except you can see the future. I'm not sure you should have that much confidence to say with all your full chest, which I also know is also a psychological game. You're trying to kill the psychology or the psyche of your opponent. That's okay. But to be so sure that, yes, this person is going to cry and I'm going to laugh, I don't think that's exactly it, except you have other ways you want to go by that.
Yeah, I think you're very spot on, because when I read that yesterday, I was asking, is this not too early? Because, saying somebody will cry on election day or maybe after the election, we are not even sure. You see, gone are the days when people will say 24 hours in politics is long. 5 minutes, in politics can be very long. So you cannot determine what will happen on that day. And then if you look at these two people, there's been a bit of back and forth between both of them. I remember that even Oyetola, I think few days he said, even if Adeleke's wife decides to give him food late, he's going to call my name. Even if he decides to do any other thing and it doesn't work well, he's going to call my name and things like that. But then I think politicians sometimes say certain things and they know the truth. Let me give you an example. A few months back, Senator Dino Melai was on national TV. And then he said, if I should contest an election alongside President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I'm going to beat him to it. He even said it in Yoruba and Nobole. And the people were laughing because if you look at these people in terms of how strong they are when it comes to politics, can you really beat him? But then I think he knows the truth. Beyond the cameras, beyond the people, beyond, the interview, the studio, if they should ask him that question, maybe his family members, I'm sure he can tell them the truth. I'm not saying he's not strong politically. I'm just saying that sometimes politicians say certain things and then they mean the opposite. And then another thing is, I think recently also a particular politician, also says something and people are asking, this one is not even a politician. I'm sure you know him, the Adeyoju. He was saying that he's done more for the people compared to Peter Obi. And then people were beginning to question that statement. Are you really sure? If you say you've done more for the people in terms of what? Are you talking politics? Because, you are a lawyer,
He's
an
a lawyer,
activist. Yeah. And this person is a politician. So I'm just trying to tell you that politicians say a lot. And they know the truth. Sometimes they say the opposite of what they know is true. And sometimes they say something, just like you said, it could be a game, maybe just to test these people or make sure that Accord is scared or maybe the candidate is scared or something. So what I'm trying to say in essence is you really cannot tell what will happen on Saturday. No one can tell, except for people who can foresee things, except for people who can, maybe tell a vision or something. Yeah, I don't even want to go into vision because, we know a popular, prophet in this nation. I don't want to call his name now. Let me just call his name, Prime Minister Ayodele. He said a lot about election, not just Osun State election. Even the last presidential election, he had a lot to say. And then beyond Prime Minister Ayodele, do you know there are some persons who said they had a vision? I'm not saying this to indict anybody, but I'm just trying to tell you, how much religion, has been able to mix with politics. Some prophet online, the popular ones, the ones that are not so popular, they came out to say, this is the person that will win the election. I saw it. And after the election, people were tagging those prophets. But you say you saw this, but how come, what happened? Did something change? Questions like that. So people can say a lot, election is coming, a lot is going on. I just want to say that at the end of the day, I've read the news. I've seen what the security operations are trying to do. 30 CPs. I think thousands of police officers. Helicopter, this and that, just to ensure that there is a free and fair election. I think that's a good one. But beyond the security that we've been able to put in place, I think the minds of the people is also very important. This is not a do or die affair. See, if anyone had told me 6 months away that Osun State election would be this intense, trust me, I will not agree. Because, it's not even Lagos State, but then it's becoming a serious discussion. I don't know. And then this man is coming for a second term. Even the last Ekiti election was not this intense. So it means that a lot will happen in Osun State. However, I want to believe that democracy will thrive. And then, speaking about Father Onsi now, Senator Father Onsi, Amnesty International is saying we are going to make an example of him. Because we don't want other politicians to come and say similar things in the future. And I think that's the way to go. Really.
But I also think Father Onsi was at the mega rally yesterday, the APC rally, and I was surprised to see him. For some reason, some would say, okay, of course, it's not being indicted, it's not being acclaimed to be or adjudged to be a criminal or to have said something wrong in that sense because there's no investigation that is open yet. But others are saying that maybe you should have stayed back away from the public view, especially after making that statement, and when every other person is calling for his arrest and all of that. But again, Young Africa said something that actually kind of like spirited some concerns in me yesterday. They said they raised concern over INEC, security agencies, and public confidence. And again, they went on to maybe describe that there's going to be a low voter turnout in certain areas in Osun State. They brought out the projections as well, but we hope this is not the case. We hope the people will come out en masse and vote. Use your voice as your vote, whatever you can do in that sense. Again, Davido, one of the family members of Adeleke, also came out to say, you know what, he said, we are coasting to victory. That was the way he put it. He said, be on your guard, we are coasting to victory and all of that. But yesterday Accord also said something. Accord Party released something that they will meet every opposition or every impediment with force. Kind of like, I'm paraphrasing what they said now, but it doesn't sit well with me, because it sounds like if you do something, we will do something. So it's more like a threat, some kind of threat to say, if you people come through this way, we will also come, we'll show you the same. But I understand why they're saying that, and I understand the whole political scenery and the atmosphere in Osun State, how tense it is for people. So maybe one thing, if I would say, is that I hope these beavers and every other equipment that is going to be used will work effectively, because we want to get the best of this election. That's exactly what I'm hoping. A free, fair, credible election is what we are looking for in Osun State. We don't want any glitch here and there. We pray all of these things are resolved, and we hope to have a peaceful election. But of course, we'll also keep tabs on this and bring you up to speed as it breaks right from Osun, right from Dominion Television. That is assured this morning.
Exactly. And then I think you mentioned something that I would love to actually speak to, and that's about matching energy. I say this all the time, even beyond politics, when it comes to relationship with people, with colleagues, with maybe your colleagues in school or maybe at work. It really doesn't make any sense to me. If somebody wants to do a lot, maybe insult you, throw tantrums, and then you want to match the person's energy, it's okay, because maybe the person has been doing it for a while, but then two people cannot do that. If the other person wants to do that, the other person should be able to say, okay, I understand you, but let me not go lower. Both of us cannot roll in the mud. I mean, somebody must be classy enough to say, I will allow you do that. Let me just be calm. So at the end of the day, I don't know what is going on between these two political parties, and then killings here and there. It's not supposed to be like that. Recently, I read this particular line this morning that said that the campaign DG of APC was killed 2 days ago. It doesn't make any sense. How come people are dying few days to the election? So I just hope that all that is happening in your state will not scare voters away. Because we talk about political apathy all the time, but we don't understand the fact that the reason why a lot of persons are scared of coming out is because I love my state, but then I love my life more, compared to my state. So, but then we are still trying our best to encourage people to come out to vote en masse. Because if you don't vote, you might say it's just one vote. If I don't vote, nothing will happen. I mean, the earth will not collapse. But then, if you don't really do what you're supposed to do, can you really complain when the person, maybe any of the candidates wins the election and then it's not your preferred candidate? So just do your best, come out to vote, and then just like I said, the security operatives are on ground, so they should do their best. And another case is vote buying. See, I asked one of my guests this question a few months back, that is it possible to eradicate vote buying? Is it possible to put a stop to it? And the person was like, it's really not possible. And I don't know how we got here in the first place. How come we cannot put an end to vote buying? Because if you collect 5,000, if you collect 10,000, at the end of the day, whoever wins the election, you will pay for it, for the next 4 or 8 years, depending on who wins the election. So vote buying is another problem. And then we'll talk about the highest bidder. Some persons want to pay 5, some persons want to pay 10. See, if care is not taken, this might continue for decades, and it's not the right way to go. And
of course, we'll just take some glimpses, and let's take a listen and perhaps take a watch also as to the election in Osun State, live from Dominion Television. If you have it, or we'll also make that known.
Adebayo Simon Adewale, the governorship candidate of Alliance People's Movement in Osun governorship election 2026. After deep reflection and extensive consultation with party leaders, supporters, and stakeholders, I have decided to withdraw from the Osun State governorship election. This decision is not born out of pressure or personal interest. Rather, it is a conscious choice to place the interests of Osun above personal ambition. Having carefully assessed the situation, I believe Governor Adeleke Ademola deserves another term to consolidate the progress of his administration as recorded. Accordingly, I hereby declare my full support for the re-election of His Excellency Senator Ademola Jackson Nuruddin Adeleke, and I call all my supporters, members of Alliance People's Movement, and the good people of Osun to join me in supporting the election. This decision is about the future of Osun. Politics should always serve the people. And today I have chosen the path that I believe will best advance peace, stability, development, and the collective interest of our state. Thank you, and God bless Allied People's Movement. God bless Osun State. God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And that's an update coming from Osun State. Of course, we'll keep tabs on many other developments across the state, but the election is taking a new turn. But according to the video you've just seen, Osun governorship election is, of course, the topic of the day. An APM candidate withdraws, endorses Adeleke. Ahead of Saturday's governorship election in Osun State, the governorship candidate of the Allied People's Movement, APM, Honorable Adebayo Simon Adewale, has withdrawn from the race and endorsed the incumbent governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, for another term in office. Adebayo announced his withdrawal just yesterday, as you can see just now, where he described the decision as a deliberate choice to put the interest of the state above his personal political ambition. The APM candidate also said the decision followed consultations with party leaders, supporters, and other stakeholders, as well as a careful assessment of the political situation in the state. Yemi, this is another turn in the politics of the Osun State politics.
A few minutes away, and I said, 5 minutes is long in politics. Anything can happen, because when something like this begins to happen, maybe you can just take a guess and say, maybe let's expect more, maybe for other political parties as well. I read this particular headline this morning that said a faction of the PDP also endorsed Adeleke. So between now and tomorrow, expect news like this. A lot will also happen. Some persons will come out and say, I'm stepping down for this person. It happens, especially even for presidential elections. So, I mean, this is not, it's surprising in a way, but then we are expecting it, and even expecting more, basically.
Interesting, but one thing you can be sure of is that we'll keep our fingers crossed and get our eyes and nose out on the field to get you updates as it breaks much further. And
then please don't forget to join us tomorrow. We're going to be live here, giving you the update, what is going on in Osun State. Please stay with us.
Of course, we'll now switch over to the next segment of the program, of course, which is newspaper headlines and analysis. Right. But I'll be shortly after this break. Stay with us.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us this morning. It's time for newspaper headlines and analysis. I'm not alone in the studio. I have with me Sam Walker, Deputy Editor with Nigerian Tribune. Welcome on board.
Thank you. Good morning, viewer.
Right. Let's start with Osun State. What is going on in that state? And then people are asking questions, and then some persons have even become, a prophet. A prophet suddenly. Allow me use that because they are trying to, tell people what is going to happen after the election. Let's start with the Punch newspaper. And I have the banner headline with the kicker that says, Governor Paul, please lock down Osun, DID, 30 CPs deployed. Please say 34 illegal guns seized. Helicopter, drone unit on surveillance across state. Army to seal state borders from midnight. Mobile court ready for offenders. 1 killed, 2 injured as Tinubu vows peaceful election. INEC urges party to honor peace accord. All of this put in place. Is it enough to ensure that, there will be free and fair election tomorrow?
No, it's all of those are not enough guarantees that there will be free and fair elections. The first reason why I say that is because the Electoral Act has given us a glimpse of what a free and fair election would look like. When you talk about the nature of the ballot papers, when you talk about some of the things infused into the amendment of the Electoral Act. So, deployment of war arsenal does not guarantee a free and fair election. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, when you read the headlines and see the show of force that is going on in Osun State, you just be wondering if it is an election or a war. 30 CPs. NSCDC has its own. Soldiers would be there. The DSS, the NIA, and so on and so forth.
Helicopter.
Hovering all around the state. Do they really want people to come out and vote? Or they just want to do something and stop people from complaining about what they are doing?
So you think that might scare people away?
Of course. Police police and other military, another armed forces, they do show of force. Why are you forcing? Why are you showing power? People want to come out, cast their votes, then you count them, and then they announce the results, and you are showing force. So why are you preparing more for war than more for a civil responsibility? So for me, that's it's interesting because I've been wondering, look at the picture, look at the tone, look at what has been going on prior. It tells you that some things are not right in Osun. There is what I may refer to as a plan going on to do something. There is a plan to either capture or to recapture. So, for me, All that points to one thing. There won't be a relaxed election in Russia. It's going to be a force, it's going to be a war, it's going to be a whole lot in those words.
Okay, so don't you think there's heavy deployment because of what has been going on in the state, just like you mentioned? And I think I read a particular headline that even said, a certain campaign DG of the APC was killed 2 days ago. I think a member of a senator of Adams even said, if you see any Accord member, kill them. Though he later, came back to
began
say
to
that,
explain and so
kill
on.
them with votes.
You
and
see,
things like that.
for me, if proper actions are taken, if proper actions and proper movements and proper steps are taken with regards to what had been going on before we arrived at this time, then I want to believe that it would have been easier to say, okay, this is this and that is that. There wouldn't have been killings if some people did not instigate it. There wouldn't have been killings if there are no tempers, if there are no pointers to what I may refer to as undoings, if there are no reasons for people to take action and so on and so forth. Then there is the place of criminality. Criminality and violence are all going on because some people are supporting it. So far, I don't think there has been anything to convince you that the government is out to stop this criminality. By government, I mean the security agencies. Long before we arrived at this juncture, the governor of Osun State had accused the police of taking sides. He said it more than once. He also told the IG when the IG visited. What was the IG's response? What did he do? So when you look at it, you know that deploying the quantum, the amount of forces they have deployed in Osun, doesn't look like it is to stem the violence that is going on. But
I think, according to Yotola, he said all that Aliki is doing and saying is trying to seek, sympathy.
well, okay. Now, the people that are being killed is also Adeleke trying to seek sympathy. Now they said the APC campaign director has been murdered. Is that also Adeleke trying to seek sympathy? So I think we have to be more serious when it comes to issues of election. Sometimes doesn't make me happy because of how people look at elections. I don't look at elections that way, unfortunately. Yeah, they may say, yes, who you be, waiting be your own, and so on and so forth. Yes, but in my own little cocoon, I've had opportunities to see people plan elections and so on, but I don't think it is as serious as they take it sometimes. But it's also a matter of interest. What if tomorrow the people of Osun fail to come out the way they should come out? Because security, Leo, yes, it's Tolstoy. Yeah, the Russian leader in the 40s said the election, the people who cast the ballot are not as important as the people who count the ballot. So what is the place of security? Is to ensure that whatever the people who count the ballot do, whatever they do, you will not be able to raise eyebrows and so on. Why deploy so much security if we had done the right thing? What if INEC finds a way to say, okay, use your phone, press A if you want to vote Adeleke, press N if you want to vote Nuruddin, or press Najim Din Salam, that's one of the, press S if your vote is for Salam. And you educate the people to do that. Even if everybody cannot do it, at least 60% of the voters will be able to press S or N or A or whatever. What I'm trying to say is, if people can load recharge cards using codes, you can use codes to conduct these elections, and we will not have the deployment of all Nigeria's resources.
Are we ready for that kind of development?
We are ready as citizens, but the government is not ready because they know they will have to manipulate elections. There are no free and fair elections in the country. perhaps the nearest we came to having free and fair elections in the country was when Jonathan was there. Because I remember very well that when Adams Oshiomhole won his second term, he went to Aso Rock to thank Jonathan for ensuring free and fair election in the state. He went to specifically thank him for allowing free and fair election.
All right, somebody tweeted a few days ago, or let me say yesterday actually, because we saw this video online that says Governor Opuzodinma, Governor Sanwo-Olu, Ubasani, Dari all storm Osun State for the APC final campaign. And then I think they did the same thing for the Edo State elections. So Nigerians are asking, is there a chance that what happened in Edo State might also happen in Osun State? I'm talking about how APC won the election, even though so many persons feared, Asue Godalo was going to win the election.
No. Generally, elections sometimes are not what we look. The more you look, the less you see happens in elections. I have said it before. The Electoral Act, one of the provisions that has been contentious in the new Electoral Act is that if ballot papers are not numbered according to INEC serial number, that they can still be used. If you use that kind of ballot paper, if that kind of ballot paper will be used, then what is the guarantee that some people had not gone behind to do some ballot papers and tell you that, look, yes, the electoral law permits that this ballot should be counted. So that is on the one hand. On the other hand is the people of Osun State themselves. Would they be allowed to come out and cast their ballots freely as they would want to? Because if you someone was telling me yesterday that the number of security personnel in Osun might end up outnumbering the security personnel in Osun, deployed in Osun, might outnumber the voters themselves.
I think about 1.9 million of the voters are expected tomorrow, according to reports.
Well, expectations. The turnout, tomorrow now you begin to hear 25% turnout and things like that. So it has been a matter. And if you look at it very well, since 1999, perhaps the rate of decline has been on the ascendancy, has been increasing. So it's not particularly a good omen when we get to elections and the whole place is tensed up and so on and so forth. A lot of people will not come out tomorrow because of fear. Parents will not allow their young children to go out. Because if an 18-year-old with plenty hair goes out to vote, he will look suspicious and they will say, hey, come here and things like that. So sometimes it is always better to seek how to improve oneself. But unfortunately, Nigeria doesn't look like we are deliberate about seeking improvements in some of these things. We should have arrived at a point where we no longer will be looking at elections as show of force, as deploying military, as capturing a place, and so on and so forth. We can make our campaigns simpler and, dwell on issues. For about 2 weeks now, I don't think anybody has been discussing development of Osun. We have been discussing deaths in Osun. We've been discussing deployment of military. We've been discussing
arrest as well.
Arrest. We've been violence. We've been discussing what A said and what B said. Sinister Father was even ruptured the whole thing when he made his own announcement and so on. If there were no videos, perhaps we would have believed him. I had even thought Senator Father would have said, okay, in our own registers in the Ijesha variant of Yoruba language, what I said meant beat them up or beat them with votes and so on and so forth. But, trying to tell us that he didn't say what he said is like calling other people who understand the Yoruba language fools. So these are some of the things we are discussing. We are not discussing how many roads had been rehabilitated, how the people of Osun State are going to gain from the government through policies that will enhance their life and livelihood. So,
before we leave Osun State, let's talk about the power of incumbency.
Okay.
Because a lot of persons are saying that might actually change a lot of things. That might actually be a strong factor that will determine who wins this election. And of course, I think Oyetola himself said something recently, I think yesterday actually. Before we take that, let's take a short break, and then when we come back, I'll turn to that question. Please stay with us this morning. We'll be right back.
It's a very wonderful morning here from the capital of Osun State, that's Osogbo, and we're here in front of the INEC office. As you can see just behind me, you have enough security personnel here, and they are all waiting to see if they could get sensitive materials out to different local government areas in Osun State, 30 local governments precisely. And we have through the town, we've moved around town this morning, and we've been able to see that due to the public holiday announced by the executive governor of Osun State, that's Governor Ademola Adeleke, there's been a limited movement. However, commercial activities are still ongoing around the town. Meanwhile, we are here, security personnel are around. We have individuals coming around to see what's happening at the INEC headquarters here in Osogbo. Our fingers crossed, we'll see what pans out at the end of today, ahead of the elections tomorrow, Saturday, 15th August 2026.
All right, welcome back from that video. That was Shike Obogu, giving us situation reports, of what is going on in Osun State as we speak now. And then just like you mentioned, every security, just like we saw in that video. Do you still have a comment on that? Because according to people, they're just trying to safeguard the lives of people, really.
Well, because of what we have in our hands, there has to be a way to ensure the safety of eligible voters and legitimate people who will be moving around. But my concern is those who create the violence we've been talking about, those who caused the heavy deployment of armed security and so on and so forth, are not even touched. What we know is that the ordinary man wants to go cast his vote and go home. But those who are planning evil are somewhere else, conniving. And that's where the difference lies. And I hope Osun will take a cue, and I pray that everything goes well so that more lives will not be lost, so that more people will not lose their means of livelihood, because that's also part of the things that are the problem for them in that place.
All right, you also spoke about moving of materials, sensitive materials, and I think this point, or let me say to this, is very, very important in that state, because materials will be moved from one location to another. So how do we ensure, just like I think you mentioned the ballot papers before, so how do we ensure that people do not do certain things that can actually affect the election, like maybe taking ballot papers to the wrong location and things like that? It is very sensitive. It's not just about having every deployment of security operatives. I mean, they need to monitor these things.
Yeah, I think we have come to a level where we should say we are used to the movement of sensitive materials. In one of the elections in Ekiti, there was a monitor where the resident electoral commissioner was monitoring the movement of those materials. There are 16 local governments in Ekiti, and some of the remotest parts of Ekiti is like Ikpao, Irele, some of which are in Ekiti North and Ikole local government. So what he did was to sit down, and they have some equipment attached to some of the vehicles moving the sensitive materials. And in most cases, they always move them from the CBN. So from the CBN, the points where they receive those things to the place of delivery, he was monitoring it. So I'm sure by now those things should have been improved upon, and they would make it easier. I don't expect any hiccups, because the 30 local governments in Osun has a fantastic road network, traveling from Osogbo to Ilesha. And when you get to Ilesha, there are a few local governments. You have Oriade local government, you have Ilesha, Ilesha is there, then the Urialde local government and a few other local governments are the names, Atakumos are east and west and so on. So some of the names don't run away. But what I'm saying is that there are good road networks which can help in monitoring the movement of some of these things. And I'm sure some of the security personnel also deployed are for safeguarding of some of these sensitive equipment, so materials. So I don't expect any hiccup now. It is
because it looks calm.
Yeah,
the video we just watched.
Yeah, everything looks calm. I don't expect anything now. beginning from tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. Beginning from tomorrow, when the ballot will be cast, even during the initial periods, there won't be any issues until collation period. That's when you now expect some kind of things to happen. But we'll pray that everything goes well tomorrow.
All right, I was talking about the power of incumbency, before we went on that, short break to take a look at the video. And then, so people are asking, because of the fact that the governor is still a governor, and then, a lot can happen. Is that a strong advantage, especially with the kind of deployment, I don't want to call it deployment now, or let me say how serious APC is with Osun State. Do you think it's a strong advantage, speaking about winning this election or not?
Incumbency for Adeleke is not a strong advantage, given what is on the ground.
But it helped Sheyi Makinde over your state anyway.
Well, that's because Adeleke has incumbency in Osun. He hasn't got incumbency in Abuja. And it's the incumbency in Abuja that has made the security situation look as it is. Because if the president had called the relevant people to order, I don't think we would be in this mess in Osun. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, when Oyetola was the governor, he was also incumbent and he was defeated as an incumbent. So you have to look at that factor too. And it looks like APC is all out to win Osun. That's if indeed that's what is going to happen. So I hope that the best candidate wins and we don't have any more security lapses in that state. Enough is enough.
All right. The reason why I asked that question is because Oyetola yesterday said to Adeleke, he said, "You cry on Saturday." And then I just asked him, okay, he has some level of confidence, to say this to a sitting governor. Anyway, you cry on Saturday. How would you interpret that statement?
It means, despite all that he has done and being an incumbent, he will cry. For me, I mean, at the risk of sounding as Oyetola's advocate, it's at least that sounds better than Pipanio, which Senator Fernandez said. So you cry on Saturday could mean anything. It could even, mean that he will be bereaved. But since it's a campaign ground and the law guiding fair comments might also be said to have allowed him to use that as a license. But again, you cry in an election situation means he will lose. That's my own simple way of looking at it as an outsider who is commenting on it. But again, Oyetola is planning, Adeleke is also planning. So we'll now see who will come out tops when the election, the ballot is counted.
All right. I think Adeleke at some point also said that, Tinubu should call Oyetola to order. Maybe because, he's a cousin to him, that's why he's allowing him to do all that he's doing. And I remember Adeleke also mentioned that, he's endorsed Tinubu, a few weeks back. So how come things are still the way they are in Osun State? So endorsement, endorsing the president for a second term, do you think it will really count for anything? Because some persons even said a few months back that Adeleke himself wanted to, allegedly, that he wanted to move to APC, but certain persons said no, there's no room for him in that party.
Well, endorsement of Tinubu on the one hand, then accusing Oyetola on the other. These are two issues that have been on the plate for a number of weeks. He did not mince words when he said Oyetola was the one creating all the problems. And since Oyetola is the face of APC there, because the Ambo, the man who is contesting the election, Muniruddin, that's his name, against Adeleke, was a commissioner in one of the APC administrations in the state, that of Adegbeshola, when they were paying half salaries, according to what has been found. So what I'm trying to say is that Oyetola is one factor. Oyetola is out for a kind of revenge. He's out for his own pound of flesh. But where is the place of the people of Osun in all of this? That's actually the question I think not many people are looking at. If you consider the fact that the people of Osun are the ones who are to decide then that should not attract the kind of statements we are hearing. You know, if Tinubu himself, as the president and commander-in-chief, says, okay, let everybody be neutral, everybody would be neutral because that's a command. But as it is now, it doesn't look like anything like that has taken place. You know, for him as a contender in the presidential elections coming up in a few months, in 5-6 months or so, he is also there because for him it's a win-win situation. Win-win situation in the sense that Adeleke has endorsed him and his party is also in the election. So if his party wins, it's okay. If Adeleke, who had endorsed him, wins, he's still okay. You know, and thirdly, the allegation that Adeleke wanted to join the APC. A lot of us heard that too, and it's according to the rumors also. It's the same Oyetola that said no, we are not going to allow you, and that's when the Omishore angle came into the whole matter. But like I always say, election is like a puzzle. It's like a maze. It's like a labyrinth. You will have to find a way to navigate it and unravel and disentangle the issues that surround it, and also know how you take your steps. It's like a minefield, so you know how to take your steps. If you are not lucky, the mines will go off under your feet. That's an election for you.
Before we close this particular segment, someone said something a few months back, and the person said, Oyetola knew he cannot win against Adeleke, and that's why he didn't contest again. Do you agree with that statement?
Someone said that. We heard it. Somebody else said Oyetola was told not to bother to contest. If not winning was the underlying factor behind that, perhaps. But like I always believe, until things are put in black and white, as a journalist, you may not even be able to believe it. Then otherwise you have to find a way to give the rumors you have, the information you have to give it flesh and give it basis. If Adeleke defeated Oyetola about 4 years ago, then it means that Adeleke will be more confident that he will still defeat Oyetola in another 4 years. But now Oyetola has looked for more feathers to his cap to be able to competently fight the political battle against Adeleke, and that is why he had to bring governors from everywhere, bring so many people, senators and everything, APC, to use them as tools, war, to lift his arsenal so as to be able to competently face Adeleke. So for me, it's Adeleke against the APC, everything. It's Adeleke against everything APC has to offer.
So before we go, how come we are not talking about Najim Salam? So it's been Adeleke and Ambo. Yes. How come we are not talking about him as well?
To some extent, this is a direct battle. Let's be honest with ourselves. Yes, Najim Salam is also a factor, but it is just like a third factor in this. I mean, we don't have to mince words about this. It's APC versus the incumbent government. If PDP hadn't gone the way it went, then everybody knows that it would have been a direct battle. There wouldn't have been a Najim Salam. Or except if he comes from one remote angle. But as it is now, he is not that big factor in this election.
Do you think he did enough with his campaign? Because so many persons don't even know he's contesting.
Yeah,
they know just these two candidates from APC and Accord.
Okay. From what we have on the table, we know Accord because the incumbent governor is there and he has made enough noise. We also know the APC because what the APC is. At least APC is enjoying the power of incumbency at the national level now. Then Najim Salam from somewhere in ADC. I mean, everybody knows that 2 and 2 will always be 4, except if you do it like 2 plus 2 is equal to 22 minus 18 is equal to 4, which is like a merry-go-round. So by the time it comes around to get to Najim Salam, APC and Accord would have done what they are supposed to do. So for me, with all due respect to Najim Salam, I don't see him as a huge factor in this election. But if it turns out to be the Otedola, Agbala Jobi, and Sarumi issue in 1993, then he's luck. Because he's a governorship candidate and he's there to win. So if he wins, fine, Osun will have a neutral person who came like a dark horse and an underdog and upset the apple cart.
Who people did not see coming. Okay,
Yeah.
I think it's a fine place to leave this discussion. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Sam
for
Owoko,
having me.
for joining us this morning. We take a short break, and then when we come back, we conclude the program. Don't forget that we are ready for tomorrow. We intend to keep you abreast with whatever it is that will happen in Osun State tomorrow. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world.
Many thanks for staying with us and for joining us right on this broadcast today. This morning, it's been about Osun State, it's been about the country, Nigeria. We've had conversations back and forth. Of course, we'll still keep fingers crossed and see what becomes of the elections. That's tomorrow. Anyway, it's very, very near. It's not even near. It's actually happening already. But we'll keep you informed as it breaks much further.
Exactly, and of course, just like we mentioned, we just hope voters will come out en masse to vote, because at the end of the day, they can determine a lot. Beyond the speculations, you cry tomorrow, you will laugh tomorrow, and these things, I think the voters can determine what is going to happen. And for this one is to the security operatives. It's not enough to have you guys and numbers over there. Is I think the responsibility of the security operatives is to ensure that we don't hear cases of ballot snatching, people dying at the scene and things like that. It's a fine place to leave it, and just like we said, join us tomorrow, because we intend to do a lot. You might be in Ibadan or your state, but you can have access to whatever it is that will happen in that state, tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Oluwayemi Adelako. I'll see you tomorrow.
And if there's one message to preach, say no to vote buying, to malpractice of any and every sort. My name is Andulu Akwedo, saying bye for now.